Just look at all this mess.
Hey there and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and as you can see, the beautiful Z is still on the axle stands, and well, I clearly underestimated the amount of work and time that I would need to remove all the rust. I was hoping that I could do it in like a weekend, but it's been 2 weeks since the last episode, and well, I haven't made much progress, but I'm going there. So I didn't film all the process because it's boring, it's dusty, it's a mess, and the camera just gets covered with all this browny dust that you can see. Just everything is covered with it right now. So I thought, well, I'm gonna skip this stage, and because it's very straightforward, and instead I'll show you all the spots, all the hidden areas that have been affected by rust on this car. It might be different on your cars, but I think it has a few weak spots, or the spots that are most affected to rust, that are gonna be universal, and at least you'll know where to look at in the first place. I also think that it might be a good idea just to show the tools that I've been using, and just make a quick overview of what I find most useful and less, because they do work in different ways, and the result is different. So let's begin with a quick overview of all the holes and weakened areas that I found on the car. But in order to do this, we need to go under the car, and I need to change. So alright, now when I've changed, we can go under the car and inspect all the interesting places. The very first spot, as you can see from this angle, so you just need to go into the wheel arch, and from this side we can see all the damage that's been done for this side. I don't know if you can spot, but it's kinda rotted. Like, as I said, it's sort of layered, so there's one layer, second layer from this side, and I don't know why, but it's got like another one in between, which I have no idea what it does or where it goes so far. So my plan for this side is to cut it up, or hopefully try to get it all the way up here, cut it and weld the new metal. It's relatively thin metal, so I think I will be able to shape it nicely, well, as nice as I can. This side, it goes in the seal, and again, it's sort of flimsy. You can see I can move it with my fingers. I'm gonna cut it, weld a plate up here, so it will cover this hole and add some rigidity. I'm hoping to connect it to this panel because it's pretty much intact, to add some rigidity to the jacking point. And if we go on the side, this is the most interesting part, because this is where your kidney braces, or what's called the stay bracket, cross-member stay bracket, mounts. And as you can see, it's pretty good. By the way, all this stuff is already sort of rust free. Yeah, I'm still working on it, but it's pretty much like 90% done. I just need to go in with smaller brushes and get it all cleaned up. But you see why I removed the fuel tank, because rust here goes all the way up here without removing the tank. And all these lines actually they're sitting right here, so they're sort of in a way. So in order to get this area treated properly, you would have to drop the tank. And yeah, all this metal is quite thick and solid, so no critical damage. Well, if you can see this area, it looks like well, metal-ish, but in fact it's all rust, and this is where the chisels come in handy, because you can use it to, you see, it's still solid, but well, it was solid at the first glance, but with the chisel you can, and you can't remove it with the wire brush on a drill, because it doesn't like do anything. It's too soft for this. See how it's chipping away. Yeah, now this is actual metal. You can scrub it and it's kind of shiny-ish, and it doesn't chip away. No matter how hard you hit it, it still holds in place. So the grinder does it much better, but again, like, these areas are really tight, and all the time you catch this edge, you're feeling like you're losing grip. So that's why I left it for this kind of smaller tools. Right, let's move on. Another area which you might want to get access to is this panel. It's very thin and it's all crusty, so I'm gonna cut all the way up here and just replace it with a new metal. But this is area that kind of hard to get to if you've got the fuel tank. So this is actually where it sits. So this area is right above the fuel tank, and as you can see, it's started to go too. Fortunately, it's just the surface rust, but on other cars it might be a weak spot too, so have a look at it. Yeah, you can see I've managed to scrub most of the rust away. This area, this is where the charcoal filter mounts, so it's basically like a breather for the fuel tank, and again, it's just barely holding up. And while we're here, there is a nice illustration of the sim sealer going really hard and strong, and well, not strong, it actually becomes brittle with time, and you can see the rust just goes in there. It's just sitting behind the sealer, so the sealer doesn't do any job whatsoever. Well, at least not, probably just, the only thing it does, it just covers the rust from you. You see, it's right there underneath, and as you can see, it's all crusty. And the reason why you want to remove the factory underseal is just to see how far the rust actually has gone. As you can see, I'm removing the underseal and I'm finding that the rust has spread under it. And anyway, the old underseal is, I find it sort of inconsistent. At some places it's really thick and nice and still kind of flexible, but at other areas it's really thin and it's brittle and falls apart really easily. And this is another very common place where these cars begin to rust, and as you can see, I've got few spots here. Here it's more or less solid, but Yeah, there are no holes in there. But if you turn around and see where I'm pointing, so this is basically the inner skin of the wheel arch, the outer wheel arch. So you just need to go right. So it's gonna be right there, and it's really hard to see this area. I only noticed that because the previous owner has installed the rocket body kit, and I removed it, and because he didn't weld the arches, I was able to see that there was some rust, and when I started to poking with a screwdriver, it just fell in, and as you can see, like, my knife goes all the way in. And it's pretty much the same story on the other side. It's a little bit worse, but again, a hole over there, here, and let's move to the other side. So on this side, as you can see, pretty much the same story goes in here. Probably it's better to actually see that this piece is made of two panels where they meet here. I'm thinking just to try to remove this inner part and fabricate a new area. They're pretty much symmetrical in terms of damage. The only difference actually on this side, and this is quite interesting because I wouldn't be able to find anything like that on that side, I mean on the driver's side. But here, as you can see, it just all these layers, and you can see that there were like 2 or 3 panels welded together or sandwiched together here, and the only thing that remained is like, well, I can't, yeah, you can see it's paper thin and it's all crusty, so all this area has to be cut out and welded in with a patch panel. The arch behind this is actually the side where the rear bumper being held in place. Similar damage. I mean, there is some nastiness going on in here, but it's a relatively small area that will be easy to cut in and weld. The strut tower, again, same story. It started to go a little bit less. There are just one hole there, but I don't know if you can see from this point, but similar story with the outer arch. And yeah, this is probably the most problematic places you can find. Yeah, if I go. So from this side you can see this panel that I showed you on the other side has also rusted through and will need to be cut out and replaced. Again, not a big deal. Here, however, you can see that there is a hole in here and in here too, so this area is a little bit more butted, but I'm thinking to make a weld patch and weld it up here and small area like right here, so sort of recreate this shape and weld it on top. Again, it's not something ideal, but for this car, because it's not a restoration project, I'm gonna overlap a few panels. Obviously I'm gonna treat this rust further, but yeah, it's all relatively fixable. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna show you the seals. The seals are well, as you can see yourself, yeah, they just have to go.
Yeah, this is probably the most problematic places that you can find on a Z. They will all have different amount of rust and damage, so be careful and just inspect any future cars more carefully and just be prepared to deal with this kind of stuff. And now we're going to the review of the tools that I used.
So let's begin with the manual tools. I've got like a bunch of chisels, a screwdriver, a hammer. Yes, we all need that one. So it's really useful to scrub the rust off with the chisels where like you can't get into certain places with a power tool. They do work quite well. You will need a hammer to basically chisel away the most stubborn rust. Yeah, I mean it's useful. I think you can do with just chisels and just a wire brush, but it's gonna take ages to get it off. So let's move to the next tool that I'm using, which is a drill with a wide range of different wire brushes. Again, it's nice to have them like in a variety of sizes, shapes and forms, because sometimes you just need a certain shape to get into tight spots. Yeah, it's fine. It's a nice tool. It does save a lot of time, much better than just wire brushing it with small wire brush. The only disadvantage that I see is it's not strong enough. It's good for removing soft rust, peeling paint or anything like that, basically anything surface. This one does fine. It does remove the factory and the seal, but it takes a while. If it's a thick layer, you're just gonna be doing it for like hours. This is where an angle grinder with this type of brushes, they're way stiffer and harder. Like I don't know if you can see, but the thickness of it, it's really tough brush, and it removes like everything in an instant, like underseal, hard rust, literally anything, and it will save you a ton of time if you've got this one. Again, it's nice to have like a bunch of wheels that you can use in different spots. The only disadvantage of the angle grinder, at least mine, is quite heavy, and I think the wheels aren't very well balanced, so when you use it, like it vibrates so much that after like 10 minutes your hands are gonna fall off. So it's nice, it's quick, but it's really tiresome, like use it all the time. And because it's very powerful, it's trying to like get out of your hands when you catch like a certain piece of metal, a certain angle. It will try to just jump off, and it can be scary. That's why you need to like hold it really tight, never losing your grip, because it can be quite dangerous. That's why I'm using these gloves. Why this? They're really thick, and all those metal wires, they tend to fly away. Like these are really good. Like I totally like them. I bought myself 2 pairs. Totally worth it. I think they were like £10 for a pair, so definitely a good investment. Well, obviously some goggles for your eyes, because working on the car, it's not just the rust and grime that will be falling into your eyes, but it's the wire brushes as well that can just fly off and stuck in your eyeball, which is not very pleasant, I think. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I hope in the next one I'll get all the preparation done. I mean, in terms of rust removal, I'll start cutting out the pieces that I want to replace. Hopefully in the next one as well, I'm gonna show you the materials that I'm gonna use for rust treatment, rust converters, primers, all that stuff. Hopefully, as I said, it's gonna be in the next episode. I'll do my best to get it all done this week, and hopefully the next one. I think I said hopefully like 5 times already, but the next episode should be more productive and interesting to watch. That's it. See you in the next one.